to remind the candidates to work and to focus on the offices that we have all nominated for, and to work and serve the community who have voted them in. I guess it's to focus on the role as councillors. As councillors, as mayors, we're here because people have put us in to do the job for them, to be their voice. Respect the office and your council colleagues. That's what I'm asking all councillors and mayors to do. Council needs to restore the confidence in its elected members and their leadership of our town. I think it would be a sad day if we were to have a new council, a new mayor that behaved in the old ways. We're all here because we have a passion for this town. We want to serve its community. And I think as such, everybody should have their say. It's healthy to debate on council. It's healthy to vote on council. It's the respecting of the democratic process of the vote and also living by the guidelines of what it means to be a councillor. So I hope, and given the field of 25 councillors and 10 mayors, I think that we have got a real diverse mix of people who are really engaged in their commitment to serve the town. So I'm hoping that they bring with them ideology and respect for the office and a will to serve the population who they claim they are.
Do you have any other statements? Not being any, I declare statement time closed at 5:50. Okay, we move on to item 7. Questions from members without notice. There is none. Item 8 is announcements. It's the list of some of the meetings I've had. Item 9, I declare that I've given due consideration to all matters contained in this agenda. Item 10, which is confirmation of minutes. I confirm that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the Wednesday the 26th of August 2020 are true and correct record. Now move to the items of the agenda, which is quite a lengthy agenda today. A lot of these projects that are coming into this meeting are ones that have been announced some time ago. This is just the final part of the process. Item 11.1.1, scheduling of council meetings. This item is for 2 meetings to take place in relation to the new council. The first will be held on the 19th of October in this place, on the 20th of 2020, when the new mayor and councillors will be sworn in, and they will elect the deputy mayor at this particular meeting. The next meeting will be rescheduled for the 4th of November 2020, which will allow for inductions and training of new councillors and newly elected members to take place. At the meeting on the 4th of November, I would expect the various committees to be formed and the times for briefing from directors to be put in place. So I support the recommendation in the matter. Item 11.1.2, review of amendments policy 010 council investments. This review is overdue as some of the ratings agencies changed the offering to councils and changed the company policies, rendering some of our investments non-compliant. The proposed change will ensure sound investment is maintained. The main change is in the investment guidelines to allow equivalent ratings agencies to S&P and Moody's. The capacity to invest in short-term A1 plus accounts has been increased from 35% to 50%. The table in this item shows how much and the risk rating of the investments. These changes allow our team flexibility to invest at the best rate at the lowest risk rating. These changes align with our strategic policies and enable the town to obtain the best interest rate without increasing risks. I support the recommendation in relation to this latter. Next statement may pass to one of the questions that was asked today. Item 7.1.3, the statement of financial activities for the period ending 31st of July 2020. This report is for the above period and is compiled and published to allow council and members of the public to see budget-wise what is being paid out of our accounts. There is supplementary information attached to this paper. It is important to note that these figures have a starting point of this year and subject to change as they are unaudited. The financial figures will be known, the final figures will be known when external audit is completed in October of this year. The variants are the same as last year, 10% or $10,000 for capital projects, 10% or $50,000 for non-capital projects. The current funding position, was $51,200,000. That represents the current rates income that is expected. The cash position is as follows: cash in investments $237.25 million, restricted cash $240.08 million, unrestricted cash position $2.83 million. I support the recommendation in relation to this item. Item 11.1.4. This is an amendment that is at the request of the CEO. This matter was determined by myself shortly after I arrived, and I authorised the creation of the position of Deputy Chief Executive Officer. For the entire time I've been in Headland, the Deputy CEO has been Anthea Bird. I wish to take to talk briefly about the qualities of Anthea. It is sad that Anthea is leaving council not long after myself. In my various roles, I've worked with many highly skilled, talented and dedicated individuals. I wish to state publicly that Anthea is the best I have had the pleasure of working with. This director has turned a non-functioning financial section into a successful one with her dedication and loyalty, which is reflected in her staff. The strategic documents that guide the future of Port Hedland are also her work. I can advise that her advice to me is accurate and concise. I will miss Anthea and hope that our paths cross again in the future. I thank you for your work on behalf of the residents of Port Hedland. I thank you on my behalf and on behalf of the staff. You will be missed, but your legacy of the work you've done will benefit this town for many years to come. I now wish to go back into the actual item, and this change will allow various people at senior levels to try their skills at a different level of responsibility. So I support the recommendation. Thanks. Item 11.1.5, status of council decisions update. This report and spreadsheet is an important administrative tool used by the town and the residents to monitor the implementation of council's decisions. Council decisions not yet fully implemented will remain on the list until completed. After each monthly meeting, all decisions are uploaded and allocated to the relevant officers for action. This spreadsheet is prepared quarterly for council and the community to see the progress. This is an important tool that town officers utilise to implement and enact decisions of council, ensuring that all decisions of council are completed. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Item 11.1.6, review of the Audit and Risk and Compliance Committee's terms of reference. This matter was dealt with by me back in December 2019. The staff of the committee support council in fulfilling its responsibilities in relation to financial reporting, internal controls, and control structures and audit functions. The changes in this report are elected members are not who are not on the committee can attend meetings but cannot vote, but they can ask questions and make statements. 2, making sure all agendas are uniform, and 3, making it clear when minutes of those meetings are made public. Of course, a significant achievement of this committee was to establish the internal audit and external audit functions, a function that many much larger councils have found difficult. The current system focuses on internal and external audit functions, ethical decision making, finances, risk management practices, and promotes recommendations and advice to council. In my view, a very important council, and shortly some of you people will be on that committee, I hope. I support the recommendation of the in this manner. Item 11.1.7. This item will have a significant impact on the operation of council by improving the services to the community in the way council works. The last strategy was for the period 2012 through to 2017. This new strategy is for the period 2020 to 2025. And given the pace of change in this field, will deliver 2 significant challenges. Firstly, to implement the new system and to make sure all our people are able to move to the new system smoothly. A real challenge, in my view, for the directors to implement. The second, in my view, is to make sure the new system is flexible and adaptable to change over the next 5 years to remain cutting edge. We have both internal and external systems. Given our isolation, we need to be self-sufficient in this area. This system needs to have business infrastructure, business continuity, and security applications. Our system is coming to the end of its life. The system needs to return to council the investment that is being made. These days, unfortunately, we need a system that can also resist cyber attacks. I have great confidence that despite the challenges that exist, this council will implement the 2020-25 ICT strategy. I support the recommendation in this matter, in this item. Okay, item 11.1.8. This item is important for the future of the Port Hedland Yacht Club. The club, I'll just have another drink. Sorry, I'll just start again. This item is important for the future of the Port Hedland Yacht Club. The club and council have been in negotiations to look at the future of the club in the long term and the short term during construction of the marina. The result of the negotiations is a consolidation of the Yacht Club's 2 loans, and those 2 loans, or now 1 loan, extend the term of those loans for 10 years. Negotiations also involved the rationalisation of the lease areas, and a new lease for 3 years plus 1 year resulted. The new lease allows work on the marina to start. The new loan will be for an amount of $361,905.58. This club, of course, will be a major benefactor of the marina project, a marina that the town is investing close to $40 million to create, a marina that will be the envy of all towns north of Perth. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Next item is item 11.2.1, which is the Courthouse Gallery quarterly review and extension. The first part of this report is in relation to the 3-monthly report on the progress of the gallery. I have dealt with a number of these reports. I think this is the 4th one that I've dealt with. The result of the past 3 months with COVID-19 restrictions still in place are as follows. Exhibition and sales of local art continued, high quality programming, presentations and workshops, partnerships with local organisations and community groups, high quality service to the public, safe and clean premises, strong financial management, and clear and concise reports, which this organisation definitely does. The service has reported a net profit of $382,527. The impact of COVID, which includes taking exhibitions online, has resulted in some reduction in the sales in sales through the gallery. Even with COVID-19, though, they still organise numerous successful exhibitions. The second request is for an extension of 12 months to allow for exhibitions to be organised ahead of time. My understanding is there some exhibitions need to be organised 12 months before the actual date of delivery. I support the recommendation in this matter. Okay, future for the town of Port Hedland civic and administrative centres. This item is to a report on the future of this that is now 50 years old. I moved a notice of motion on the 27th of May that has now resulted in this item. To start a process to what's happened at the J.D. Hardy Centre, South Hedland Integrated Sports, McGregor Street, and Aquatics Master Plan as well. All the above were predicated on years of poor maintenance, needs for increased capacity catering for current or future needs. This centre was built in 1970 and is now, as I said, 50 years old, has completed its life cycle. Some remedial action has been addressed to improve the aesthetics, but not the integrity and capacity of the actual building. The repair work ID'd more work being required. This building cannot be used for a cyclone shelter due to the roof's conditions. We look at future needs administration in the 2020-2024. This plan also needs to be looked at seriously. The impact on efficiencies that will be restricted are the current conditions are not conducive to efficient working environment, attracting staff and staff morale, and retaining staff, which is a problem. Through positive corporate culture and provision of professional services to the community. This issue has been looked at over the past 10 years with a number of less than optimal patchwork solutions. At one stage, Gatwick Hall was turned into offices, then changed back. The most resilient, improvement. I just have to read my writing, so sorry. Well, the most recent improvements were aesthetic of the building, but not the functionality problems that weren't tackled. I support the move and urge the new council to look at the future of Port Hedland and the operation to have a significant building that represents the future and the prosperity of this particular region, but that'll be up to the next council. Item 11.2.3, COVID. Oh, okay, sorry. That's the last one? Yes. Just go back to the last one. I move the recommendation in that matter with an absolute majority. Okay. Item 11.2.3, which is the COVID-19 grants outcome. On the 22nd of April 2020, deep in the crisis that still is COVID-19, Council released its plans to assist not-for-profits and small businesses to get through the worst of the pandemic. This fund was to help groups to tackle the adverse impact of COVID-19 has created, not to just give money to groups that did not have the actual hardship. But the figures, I think, are quite impressive. The vast majority of applicants were successful. There was 30 community groups were funded for $220,519.68, and small businesses received, so 56 small businesses received $477,876.19. There is a full list of recipients attached to the agenda. I don't intend to read out 4 pages of those, but people can have a look at the successful applicants. I support the recommendation in this matter. Which was the one? Obviously, the retrospective one. Item 11.3.1, adoption of the Town of Port Hedland's local planning strategy. This matter started in Council meeting on the 23rd of October 2019. This matter is now back in Council to send the strategy to the Western Australian Planning Commission. This is part of a multi-stage process that has got us to this point. The plan needs are set out a long-term planning direction, apply state and regional planning policies, and 3, provide a rationale for the zoning. Council engaged consultants to prepare the strategy, then community engagement from July 9, 2019 to November 2019. The needs to be included were 1, a balance between short, medium and medium needs of the community, local future residential and service areas, promoting opportunities, support new economic growth areas, and of course the issue of Wedgfield. In March 2020, proceeded to advertise the draft for 90 days, and that concluded on the 15th of September 2020. Plan was advertised widely. Submissions that were received can be found in attachment 3 all submissions were given due regard. Some alterations to the LPS 7 and have been considered in this agenda. Main changes were correct written errors, omissions and superseded information. Changes to Kingston Smith Business Park, maps to reflect actual change and the Woolwork Road. I support the recommendation in this matter. Item 11.3.2 of the Town of Port Hedland's Local Planning Scheme number 7. The proposal is for items is similar to the previous item and in many ways are in fact tied together. At the council meeting of the 23rd of October 2019, resolved to initiate a review of the scheme number 5, PTS5. It contains maps of the local planning scheme plus the text, of course. Consultants by the name of Elements were engaged to prepare the LPS 7 on the 25th of March 2020, advertised their work for 90 days for comment, with the usual using various methods to reach as many people as possible. The LPS 7 has now been reviewed, both text and maps adjusted to reflect the actual position. Changes were as follows: 1, correcting errors, omissions, new information, modified maps and accuracy, road closures, West End changes, visual protected zones and Woolwork Road. Further modifications can be found within attachment 2. This has taken some 18 months of hard work from our planning section. It has been extensively reviewed. It is to finish off what has started back in 2019. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Okay. Item 11.3.3, proposed structural plan be approved. This is the final step in getting land land designated from current use to residential or urban development. It is now for council to consider the area of Athol Street and the stables, and to consider the impact of the char map on the east end structure, together with submissions received, endorse the town's assessment. If approved, the recommendation will go to the West Australian Planning Commission. The area covered by the plan is 76 hectares of land, which could produce up to 400 blocks. Bounded by Athol Street, Cook Point Road, Styles Road and Pretty Pool Creek. The work on this area goes back to 2015 and have resulted in heritage and coastal values as a key environmental concern. The lands will be in the ratings of R20 through to R60. Future developments in these areas could be Athol Street. There's a possibility of 232 lots. The stables much less, around about 100 to 120 lots. This plan was initiated by council at its June meeting this year. The work also identified problems with the road layout of Athol Street and Keesing Street, and will require redevelopment into a four-way intersection. The area to be developed does not interfere with the Gariella Native Title Determination area. this area will be will remove some constraints on the future development. Support will lead to future growth in the east end of Port Hedland. Future councils will need to ensure that the spoil from the marina is directed to Athol Street and to the stables to make development possible. And I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Okay. Item 11.3.4. I just call on this is the application for development approval for the Redbank Road application, which is a retrospective application. Can you just give us some comment in relation to the comments made during statement time?
Yep. Through the Chair, Commissioner, Condition 2, in terms of the time-limited approval, is based on advice from Main Roads due to potential damage to the road and the intersection with Wilson Street, because it's not designed for RAB10. Given that it's a fairly short-term approval at this point in time, obviously while the business continues and further investigations can be made by Main Roads, we're putting a condition on that obviously the facility be removed and site remediated at the end of the project. That's if they don't get the approval after 2 years' time to continue. So they have got the ability to reapply after the 2-year period if the road has held up or there's changes to the modifications or modification to the intersection. So again, that condition may not be required for the future stage or future use of that facility. In terms of condition 4, which is the noise one, the issue that we have here is that we have a commercial use adjacent pretty much to a rural residential area which has noise sensitive uses. In terms of the works that we've done with the applicant, we've received their trucking logs which show that the majority of their works are between 7 or after 7 a.m, not at 4 a.m. in the morning, so there's only a small percentage of works that are undertaken outside the hours that are contained within the Environmental Protection Noise Regulations. Noise is a common problem that a lot of local governments face, and I've faced it before in my previous roles, where you have that commercial or industrial interface with residential uses. So it's to address that. In relation to condition 5, we'll only obviously consider applying this if we do have complaints or concerns in relation to noise and dust leaving the site. So in terms of the noise for that area, yes, I agree with the comments of Mr. Blanco. The assigned noise levels for the area will be higher than a standard residential area because of where it is, surrounding land uses, train lines, etc. But the issue that we have is that the noise regulations will still apply.
Okay. And you've conveyed all that information. Well, has that information been conveyed to the applicant? All that information?
I believe so.
I guess if you wish to get the applicant to write to us, we'll give an answer to the queries you raised to the applicant, if you wish. Okay?
You don't have any comments or not?
No, it's not a debate. Yeah. Okay. So item 11.3.4, application for development approval 2019-170 lot 1 in brackets 128 Redbank Road, Redbank. This application is for retrospective approval of infrastructure and outdoor display area, and if allowed, with extensive conditions, which is, we've discussed a bit of them, that would have applied if the applicant applied during the normal course, the normal way of applying. The development is of the type that can be approved in this area if council does approve. This matter arose on the 21st of May 2019 with a compliance matter raised against the landowner after extensive contacts on the 13th of January 2020. he lodged a retrospective approval application. The application was referred to 11 landowners along Redbank Road, and one valid objection was received. This area is classified as P permitted. The development is permitted by the scheme. This development application is consistent for this area. It must comply with the setbacks, street frontage, car parks and the like. The DA is consistent with clauses 5.9, 5.94 of the LPS5. The conditions set in the 3 pages of conditions cover those various areas. I support I approve the extensive list of recommendations. As I say, there are 3 pages of them. That's a simple majority. So I support that recommendation. Okay, item 11.3.5, consideration of submissions of scheme amendment number 84. The purpose of this report is to consider submissions and determine whether to adopt the final approval. The purpose of the process is to deconstrain land in the east end of Port Hedland. The meeting of the 24th of June 2000, this process was initiated. The amendment will facilitate future subdivisions and developments of the land for residential purposes following a preparation of a structure plan for endorsement by the Planning Commission. The matter was referred to the EPA, who advised that formal assessment was not required. We had 4 submissions which did not require modification of the scheme. I support the recommendation in relation to this item. Item 11.3.6, the Community Safety Plan. This plan has been developed and has taken some time to be finalised. Finally approved by all members of the committee, which of course, unfortunately, has taken some considerable time. The new approach, at its core, relies on strong engagement with all sections of the community working in partnership, providing strategic leadership in closing gaps in the Port Hedland landscape. Our plan sets out short-term and long-term objectives. This document hopefully will enable groups who are currently funded to be more effective by cooperating with other groups to concentrate resources towards an issue. This will be assessed by a critical map and a gap analysis, and hopefully will result in greater outcomes for our community. The plan acknowledges that the problems are not just antisocial problems, and it is the whole of community responsibility. There are 4 key focused areas. 1 is personal safety, 2, safety in open spaces and parks, 3, resilient community, and 4, powerful partnerships. The plan will deliver in 3-year cycles and ensure the plan is responsive to changes in issues. This initiative is an outstanding concept and will succeed if all those involved play their role. All participants need to not just turn up, but make commitments to projects and delivery of services. I support the recommendation on this matter. The next item is 11.3.7, which is the Banned Drinkers Register. This item has been placed on the agenda to show support for the Banned Drinkers Register. This register is an initiative of the Department of Local Government, Sport, Culture, Industries, in partnership with the Hotel Association and Liquor Stores Association. in an endeavour to reduce harm from alcohol-fuelled violence in Port Hedland. To this end, the register will be made up of people with a history of alcohol and violence, domestic violence primarily, I hope. The drink driving, people are convicted of drink driving, and those who put themselves onto the register. Council is keen for any action that helps reduce harm from individuals who have known problems. It is pleasing to see the alcohol industry as part of this particular plan. Council will participate in the plan and contribute some $50,000 to the evaluation of the plan, of the trial. I am sure that the community will see a positive result after the start of this particular trial starts on the 1st of December 2020. And in fact, I'm pretty sure the police are already implementing the actual plan in Port Hedland, and it has resulted in significant reduction in reporting of domestic violence. I support the recommendation in this matter. Item 11.4.1, McGregor Street Master Plan. This item is to move this project one step closer to starting. The main part of this plan is the replacement of the ageing turf club building and replacing it with a modern multi-use facility which will cater for 200 people during the course of a passage of a cyclone. It will be used 6 times during the season for races, weekly judo, weekly Muay Thai fighting, defence, dancing, and of course used for public private functions. Sorry. This will be the best turf club facility north of Perth. The hub building will increase the capacity by some 250 square metres. The building also needs to be raised by some 2.15 metres because of the low-lying nature of the racecourse. It is hoped that the soil from the spoil bank will be used, some 20,000 cubic metres of soil from the spoil bank project. This building will enhance the facilities of the town and add enjoyment for decades to come. The extra $2.6 million will enhance the project and will be included in the 2021-22 budget. I support the recommendation in this item. Item 11.4.2, South Hedland Integrated Sports Hub Master Plan. This report is for the new sports pavilion concept design, stadium expansion and refurbishment concept layout. The project was originally approved in August 2019. Now we have the concept layout and refurbishment. The design addresses the needs of many sporting groups. This work is required to move from concept to actual work, boots on the ground, and I support that. This is in collaboration with our architects, the Caribbean and stakeholders. The design have changed to address the community's needs during that information period. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Okay, item 11.4.3, concept design for the J.D. Hardy Youth Hub Master Plan. This report is to look at the approving the preliminary design for the J.D. Hardy Stage 1 multi-use courts and surrounds together with ablution blocks. This is the work to initiate the outdoor part of the the outdoor part of the master plan for the J.D. Hardy area. The request also involves authorising the early release of some $750,000 to cover the costs of additional work identified after community consultation. That work involves, one, bringing forward ablution blocks and actually expanding that ablution area to have change rooms included into the outside area. And of course a new outdoor basketball court to replace one lost due to the entrance statement, the new entrance statement taking away one of the old courts in the complex. So I support the recommendation in relation to this item. Okay, item 11.4.4, award of tender to complete the South Headland Cemetery Master Plan. This item is in relation to the master plan that was approved under the last council. This matter will upgrade the infrastructure at the cemetery, and it will include minor grading for external roads to universal access by upgrading the internal road network and an external ring road with extra access points. 3, installation of trees, future garden beds. 4, plant trees, 2 cemetery car park and the entry and road, a new cemetery fencing, new toilets, signage, all built to cyclone rating. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter, and in fact, as it authorises payout, I'll read the recommendation out. The council accepts the tender submitted by Yarra Proprietary Limited in accordance with tender RFT 1920-33 South Headland Cemetery Master Plan for a total amount of $599,777.21 excluding GST. I support the recommendation. Item 11.4.5, the awarding of tender in relation to tree maintenance. This item is to award a contract to a small business in Port Hedland to make sure our trees are maintained in a safe condition, especially in the cyclone area. This is important, as everyone knows. This contract covers the following: tree pruning, removing stumps by grinding, denutting of the coconut palms throughout the town. I support the recommendation in this item, and as it awards a contract, I will read aloud the recommendation. The recommendation that I support reads as follows: that council accepts the tender submitted by Norcape Tree and Contracting Services Proprietary Limited in accordance with tender RFT 2021-01 amenity tree maintenance for an estimated value of $600,000 for the life of the contract, based on the current operation budget of $120,000 per annum. The contract specifics are: 1, the maintenance of high-risk trees in the town, public open space, verges, town facilities and properties that cannot be maintained by our staff for a period of 3 years, 3 years with, in brackets, 3 years again, with an estimated start date of the 15th of October 2020, and 2, an optional contract extension of 2 years times 1 year extension in accordance with the schedule of rates detailed in attachment 1, the confidential evaluation report, and other contractual arrangements. As I say, I support that recommendation. Item 11.4.6, which is a depot master plan tender. This item is in relation to the building of the depot master plan that was approved some months ago. This is a significant step forward to allow our workforce to operate in a modern resource workplace. This work will increase efficiency and retain workers to slow down the turnover rate of our workforce. This work is going to a Port Hedland company, a small Port Hedland company. I'm happy to move the recommendation in this matter. I will read aloud the recommendation. So I support this recommendation. That Council accepts the tender submitted by MJW Building and awards both Parts A and B in accordance with RFT 1920-40 Depot Administration and Warehouse Construction for a total amount of $8,245,658.78, excluding GST. And I support that recommendation. Okay, this is another tender for barbecue renewal program. This is item 11.4.7. This item is for a tender in relation to the barbecue renewal program. There are some 48 barbecue locations in Port Hedland. This contract will replace and keep our barbecues operating. The contract will replace our barbecues at a cost of $36,363.60. This item is in addition to a tender that was awarded to the same company in September of this year, so the last meeting. Yeah, it was the last meeting. As it awards a contract, I will read aloud the recommendation in relation to this matter. I support the recommendation and it reads as follows. The Council accepts the tender submitted by Readings Electrical in accordance with tender RFT 1920-39 barbecue renewal program for a total service charge of $36,363.60 in addition to the amended schedule of rates received by Readings Electrical on Wednesday the 2nd of September 2020 as set out in the RFT for the period of 5 years. The contract specifies specifics are 1. Supply, install, remove and repair barbecues. Okay. So we have to. Okay, we now have a different recommendation, but the effect of it is exactly the same. So I've read aloud the new recommendation. 1, the Council reaffirms the appointment of Readings Electrical as the successful tenderers for tender RFT 1920-39 barbecue renewal program for a total service charge of $36,363.90, noting that the schedule of rates has been amended as per attachment A, and 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the contract appointing Readings Electrical as the contractor for RFT 1920-39, together with any variations, amendments or discharge thereof pursuant to section 9.49A and B of the Local Government Act Local Government Act Western Australia 1995. I support that recommendation. This particular item, item 11.5.1, is for a quarterly report on the Port Hedland Visitor Centre and an extension of the agreement. This report is in relation to the operation of the Visitor Centre for the past 12 months and also to approve an extension of 12 months for the contract. The report indicates that the key performance indicators have been achieved despite the problems caused by COVID-19, and they've exceeded some of the KPIs by some significant amount. They had excess of 20,000 visitors through the centre. They had 5,000 on formal tours. They achieved a gold A1 accreditation, developed digital platforms, developed tourism documents, developed a program engaging cruise ships, which we might not particularly want to see for a while, but there you go. If they come, we've got a program. And that they gained some sort of notoriety in TripAdvisor for being the top harbour town tours. The report is very pleasing. I congratulate the seafarers who, as I said, have achieved significant figures in very difficult circumstances. So I support the recommendation in this matter. Item 11.5.2, Strategic Workforce Plan 2020 to 24. This item should have been reviewed in 2016, but due to problems in council, it was not reviewed. This plan will replace the old one and ensure that the town meets its obligations in accordance with the West Australian Local Government Act to plan for the future and to be accountable to the community. The vision of the council is to become the leading port town in Australia. The town has budgeted to spend some $450 million over the next 15 years, plus an additional $76 million recently on capital works. The Shire currently employs some 250 people, which makes it one of the major employers in town. Strategic workforce planning is essential, and it must be tied to budgeting, facility expansion, service delivery, and is a key. It's key to look at the future of any council. It is vital that recruiting suitably trained workers in all areas of operation is essential. I support the recommendation in relation to this matter. Okay, we now go into item 12, there is nil, 13 nil, item 14 is the new item. So it's a late item. I accept the late item, and I now move to it, which is this one. Yeah. Okay, this item is 14.1. Just want to make sure that's it. Yep. The same one. Yep. Okay. We occasionally get different versions, but I got the right one. This item is in relation to two tenders that were awarded to Pindan Construction Proprietary Limited at the last monthly meeting. The successful tender is now experiencing some issues with gaining house indemnity insurance. This item will only come into effect if the company fails to have the insurance in place prior to the 30th of October. The net result will be that the approval of the next tenderer, who would have got the tender if Pindan was not in the field. So I'll read aloud the new a recommendation in relation to the awarding of the contracts for construction of housing that was awarded, as I say, at the last monthly meeting. Recommendation 1, which I support all three, but I'll read aloud the recommendation. That Council A reaffirms Council's decision from August 2020 Ordinary Council meeting CM 2021-029 and CM 2021-030, appointing Pindan Constructing Proprietary Limited as successful tenderers in respect to RFT 1920-42 and RFT 1920-41, respectively, for the housing, for the staff housing construction of Long Tom Loop and Barramine Loop. B, approves an amendment to the form of contract appointing Pindan Contracting Proprietary Limited as the contractor of RFT 1920-42 and RFT 1920-41. Hereby Pindan Constructing Proprietary Limited is required to satisfy the preconditions by no later than 30th of October 2020, and C, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the form of contract appointing Pindan Contracting Proprietary Limited as the contractor for RFT 1920-42 and RFT 1920-41, together with variations, amendments or discharging thereof pursuant to section 9.49A and B of the Local Government Act 1995. That's easy to understand. So, anyway, recommendation 2. The Council, in the event of that Pindan Contracting does not satisfy the preconditions to contract referred to in official recommendation 1 above by the 30th of October or such other date as prescribed by the Chief Executive Officer. A, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to withdraw the offer and action as per recommendation 1. B, appoint Mintie, M-I-T-I-E, Constructing Proprietary Limited as the next preferred successful tenderer for tender RFT 1920-42 staff housing construction for Long Tom Loop for a total amount of $2,417,796.36, excluding GST, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the form of contract appointing Mintie Constructions Proprietary Limited as the contractor for RFT 1920-42, together with any variations, amendments or discharging thereof pursuant to section 9.49A and B of the Local Government Act, Western Australia 1995. And the third recommendation in relation to this particular matter, in the event that Pindan Constructions Proprietary Limited does not satisfy the precondition of the contract referred to in the Officer's recommendation 1 above by the 30th of October 2020 or such other date as approved by the Chief Executive Officer, that Council A authorises the Chief Executive Officer to withdraw the offer and action as per Officer's recommendation 1. B, appoint NYFL Thomas Building Proprietary Limited as the successful tenderer for the tender RFT 1920-41 staff housing construction and Barramine for a total amount of $4,748,000, excluding T, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign the form of contract appointing NYFL Thomas Building Proprietary Limited as the contractor for RFT 1920-41, together with any variations, amendments or discharge thereof pursuant to section 9.49A and B of the Local Government Act, Western Australia, 1995. So I support those recommendations. Okay. We now go to 15, don't we? Yeah. This is a matter which needs to be dealt with in confidence. So we need to close the